We've got Aaron here from Futureverse and Carl from Polemos. What I wanted to do today was basically just to drill into a bit of the personality, the people behind the businesses. So what I wanted to do, Aaron, can I start by asking, tell us about your background. How did you get into crypto and where did it all start?
Yeah, I've been tech for 25 plus years now. I started as an engineer, and if you could call engineering digging holes to lay telecommunications cables. And then kind of worked my way up the technical stack, got as far as you could go in that technical stack in the telecommunications IT space, jumped from the kind of technical side into customer sales, product marketing, eventually ended up running the business and enterprise portfolios at what was Telecom and then became Spark. It's kind of our version of Telstra if you're in Australia, or AT&T if you're over here in the States, and had $1 billion across those different products. Went from there into corporate venture and jumped out of corporate venture into the startup world, and I started to play with Web3 around 2015-ish, and then I had a conversation with a friend of mine who I was building another product with at the time, a guy called Dr. Luca Muller, who's a Swiss lawyer, partner, co-founder of a firm called MME up in Switzerland. And he was having these quite deep conversations with me over dinner about smart contracts. And I turned to him and said, how does a Swiss lawyer know so much about this kind of obscure technology in 2015? And he said, I kind of came up with the structure for the Ethereum Foundation and a bunch of the original crypto projects. So I took that as a bit of a signal to dig in a bit deeper. And 2016 started venture building with a company called Centrality. And we were building, incubating, accelerating, investing in projects in fintech, cleantech, and Web3 at that time. And in Web3, we're kind of particularly interested in solving usability problems. So we're thinking how can you get more people into this technology? How can you make it more seamless to connect with it in the infrastructure that exists in the world today, and the payment rails and user onboarding and all that kind of stuff. And then we solved what we thought were kind of the major problems with these portfolio companies. And we started to think about how do you get users to join? And we decided content was the way to do that. So did the same thing again, started incubating, accelerating companies that were building content-specific applications. Around 2021, we got approached by some private equity firms, one of them being Dan Tapiero's TNT, about our ecosystem, what we'd been kind of building out there, and said, why don't you do a roll-up? You bring some of these things together. So we ended up rolling up 11 companies at that time, more now, that were media and tech companies, bringing both of those skills together to create Futureverse, which is a big global media tech business, and kind of focused on that intersection of Web3, content, and AI. Wow.
That's a pretty big story, right? And my understanding is that the last round that you raised you raised $54 million on a pre-money valuation of what?
700
million. And so, there's a lot of people in crypto world that sort of say, only just getting to know Futureverse, but when you realize that they're one of the major behemoths in the gaming sector particularly, how have you found, going from that roll up into today? Do a lot of people know you? Are you sort of been under this, under the radar?
Yeah, I think it depends on which circles you're talking about. I think in, DGen land, probably not as well known. I think amongst bigger players in the institutional side of things, I would say fairly well known now.
Yeah.
If you're talking about our key partners and markets in the sports and media and entertainment space, everyone knows us. And so we're a B2B brand as Futureverse, and we're really a technology company that's powering the experiences of other companies and IP and brands. And so we're hoping those products are the things that people love.
Yeah.
And those experiences are the things that bring people into this ecosystem and help them to find and discover all of the other cool stuff that's going on.
Amazing. Look, I've got heaps of questions for you about, where you're going with gaming, but Carl, why don't we throw over to you? So you're the CEO of Polemos. Give us a bit of your background. I understand you used to work with some big advertising agencies.
So my background is in tech and digital. I've been working around 15 years in big advertising and media firms. I started originally my career in Switzerland, where I've been there for around 5 years, and 2 years in Spain as well. I was a CFO of a digital agency in Switzerland, which we sold to a French digital group in France. And after 5 years, I felt like I wanted to discover another environment, and I moved to Singapore, which I've been living since for the last 6 years. I've been having a few corporate jobs over there. I was the CFO of Publicis. I was the CFO of Dentsu as well. And after a while, I wanted to go back to a smaller organization, fast-paced tech company. I had the chance to cross the gang and Kevin at Polemos, and I find the wish to build an ecosystem that helps to bring players and game together, simplify the way Web2 players will come to this new industry, give utilities to the assets that a lot of people owns know in the Web3 ecosystem. Very interesting, and I joined Polemos in October 2022.
So can I ask how, going from being the CFO of Dentsu to being now the CEO of Polemos, how does it compare?
At Polemos, we are really surfing on a new industry. It's amazing. It's super fun, and we got the chance to build something for the players and for the games, for Futureverse that we are currently integrating as well. It's a lot of fun. It's a new industry. There is a lot to do. There is a lot to build, but it's fantastic.
Amazing. So, look, understanding about how you're sort of plotting go-to-market, I understand you got the rights to Ready Player One's IP.
Yeah, so but more than that actually. So we one of the companies in the Futureverse group is a company called Readyverse Studios, which we co-founded with the creator of Ready Player One, Ernie Klein, and Dan Farah, who produced the movie and has worked with Ernie since even before the book was published. And so it's not your typical kind of licensing thing where you go and like get a bit of IP and go and build some stuff with it. It's actually truly kind of joint creative process, and we get to take the awesome interoperable technology that Futureverse has been building and use that to bring the world's best metaverse story to life. And so it's pretty awesome opportunity. And we actually had Ernie down over here, seeing his face for the first time playing his own characters. It's the first time he's done that with Artemis and Parzival. And so that was a pretty special moment for him, I think. And it's really kind of starting to really get into the meat of how these experiences will show up for consumers now. It's pretty exciting.
Wow. And so I understand you've just been on a bit of a road trip. You're in Korea, you're in Japan. Who are you talking to up in these regions, and why, and how have you got these networks up there?
Yeah, most of the conversations we're having in those markets are with the big gaming companies or media companies. And so, we have, like I mentioned before, a relatively good brand presence in that enterprise layer, and particularly in the content and media space. And so you put a logo that's in the top 20 media or gaming companies in the world, we're in good conversations or partnerships with those brands and people. And it was really that trip was really about going and doing the face-to-face meetings for things people we've been talking to over Zoom and kind of virtually for some time, signed some agreements in person, which was nice, and get to have some deeper conversations than you normally would, over a Zoom, spend a bit more time. Some of the biggest, oldest, most legendary gaming companies in the world, speaking to their executive and walking out of the room, and they're saying that we blew their mind. And so, like, really good validation for what we've been building under the hood.
Amazing. Did you have to end up doing the age-old Japanese contract signing session where they take you out? Did you survive?
Oh, no. That was actually, I've had to be through that process before. If you've done business in Japan, you kind of know what we're talking about. But actually, this time it was all business. So,
amazing.
Yeah, I didn't really even have time to get out there and do anything else. It was kind of whirlwind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Carl, I mean, I understand you guys have just done a pretty big partnership in Israel with Buff Gaming. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we announced 2 days ago a big partnership with Buff Gaming. That's Buff Gaming owns 16 million of players in the Web2 industry. We are going to interconnect our system to funnel these users in the Polemos stack and the Polemos ecosystem to help to get awareness about Web3 gaming to these Web2 players in the industry. So this is fantastic news. We're going to continue to bring more partnership along the way, and really the goal at Polemos is to promote all the Web3 games across the entire Web2 gaming industry and Web2 players.
Okay. Now, Aaron, I understand you have some co-founders in the business, right?
Yeah.
So Shara particularly. Give us a little bit of background on Shara and how, because I remember we, full disclosure, we own some assets in Aaron's game, and Aaron's an investor in some of the stuff we do. But I remember when you launched Fluff World, and all of a sudden we had Snoop Dogg rolling around and all these different Hollywood artists. I mean, so who is Shara, and tell us a little bit about that side of the connection.
Yeah, so Shara and I co-founded Futureverse, which acquired Non-Fungible Labs, the company that built Fluff World. And we came together actually mutually when she was a manager of another fund. We were both looking and investing in a company together, and got chatting about this kind of bigger idea and bigger opportunity. That fund was actually one she co-managed with a guy called Scooter Braun. People may know him as previously being Taylor Swift's manager and Justin Bieber's manager, and so really kind of very well connected guy in the music industry and entertainment industry himself. Shara has been in this industry for her whole career. So I think she sold her first movie to Spielberg in her 20s and had several successful media tech companies. There's pretty much no one in music or entertainment that between Shara and Dan, we can't get to and haven't gotten to. So she's an incredibly connected person, but an incredible creator as well. Brilliant strategy and kind of so the things that I'm not strong on, she kind of fills some of those weaknesses. Our founding team is really exceptional, and Dan, who's my other co-founder, comes from the investment banking world, and Marco, the fourth co-founder, is a very experienced technology veteran, InfoSec technology veteran, and been around since like the very early days of the internet and played a role in shaping a bunch of what we see and play with today. So really formidable founding team.
Wow. And so how does it all sort of come together now? I mean, what are you thinking about with this? You've raised all this money on a pre-money value of 700. I mean, what does the pathway forward look like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, so if you think about like our journey, we acquired these companies and then we had to integrate those companies. So that's taking 11 teams and trying to make them one team. And then you go from there into integrating the technology, taking 11 stacks and trying to put them into one stack, ways of working, all of that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And then we have to make one product from those things. And that's really been the journey, that the team has been working on for the last, let's call it 18 months or so since we did the deal. And now you can start to see a lot of those pieces coming together. We're showing Promptopia over here, which is using our universal blueprint framework for assets. It's using our generative AI for creating the world and the environment and the objects inside of it. It's using Gen AI, our generative music platform, to generate the sound inside of there. The underlying infrastructure that sits behind that in terms of pass and onboarding users through that. So all of those things are now getting surfaced up to the application layer, and we've been doing a few, I would call them like play tests of the way these technology bits come together over this year, with some smaller internally built things like the Races game or TNL or Grumble.
Yes.
Showing how the bits of technology and learning ourselves how those bits of technology come together in a product. And now we're getting to the other side, which is like taking what we learned from that and embedding it in these big bits of IP and brand partnerships. So next like year's worth of work is all about getting those to market and growing the audiences around them.
Yeah. And so Readyverse is coming to market. I think you've got the Third Kingdom already live, actually, in market. You have, so you've got a bunch of titles coming live. I mean, and then from a corporate perspective, what's the concept with a 700 million pound gorilla? Is it, are you going to list this thing, or is it something that is sort of more, you're going to acquire other businesses?
I think, we're definitely all about growing the business, and so there's lots of ways that could happen. I don't know whether we'd be firm on a process around exit yet, so that's still a strategy thing the board's going to work through, but growth is the plan. We've got some acquisitions already under the hood that we haven't announced yet. We've got some that are in diligence now, so we like that method of growth.
Yes.
And so that can bring more partners, it can bring more brands, it can bring more IP, it can bring more users into the fold, and so I'd expect we keep doing that as well.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so, Carl, for you, I mean, obviously you're now out of the gates with 2 games, but I think it's between them maybe 5 or 6 games, right? You've got the 4 games with Illuvium, you've got 2 now with Futureverse, and then a whole bunch coming.
Yeah.
What's the pathway forward look like for you?
Yeah, we're about to really accelerate on the product development. We today, as you mentioned, have a couple of games, one on Illuvium with the chain on Immutable, then very, very soon Futureverse on the Root Network. But we are in the middle of I'm speaking with many games from the industry and trying to bring them into our ecosystem as well. So we recently spoke, for example, to Apparent. We spoke to Blocklaws as well. And we'll be looking to integrate those games and those new chains in our ecosystem. At Polemos, we really want to have an entire ecosystem where people can come and enjoy a full set of functionality that will be soon made available, without really taking care of where the game is, on which chain is it, but just focus on acquiring or renting or borrowing, staking their own asset they got from the games in our ecosystem in a very seamless way, and enjoying the games in the best possible way as well.
Amazing. We never know, you may become an acquisition target in the future.
Hopefully.
Guys, anything else just to sort of finish up with while you're here?
No, thanks for the chat. I'm looking forward to getting what we've been working together out there for people to play with in the Third Kingdom and test these ideas and really see kind of the power of Web3 gaming expressed through this interoperability. That's what it's all about.
Super exciting. All right, thanks guys.